Turning now to brand new blockbuster reporting, an MS Now exclusive from Carol Leonnig and Ken Dilanian about an explosive pattern that begins with FBI Director Kash Patel under fire for eyebrow-raising headlines and ending with him lashing out to fire experienced FBI staff and agents. As we learned this week, that includes those with expertise in counterintelligence, global espionage, and Iran. Today, Carol and Ken report this, quote, in 4 key instances, Kash Patel's decision to fire FBI agents and staff came within hours or days of unflattering accounts emerging about him and his competency to run the FBI. They add this, quote, inside the FBI, staff and agents have been tracking this pattern and growing concerned that Kash Patel is jeopardizing the FBI's mission as a byproduct of trying to eliminate his bad press and shore up support with Trump, according to multiple FBI sources who spoke to MS Now. The key instances of bad press that they're talking about, these are headlines that you might remember forever, reporting that Kash Patel knowingly broke the law when firing senior FBI executives, reporting about flight records showing that Kash Patel misuses the FBI jet to visit his girlfriend, reporting that described Kash Patel as an unserious leader who had demoralized and weakened the Bureau. And most recently, Kash Patel's trip to the Olympics in Italy, again aboard a government jet, where seen here, he guzzled beer and sprayed it all over everyone in the room while partying with the USA men's hockey team. I want to bring in Carol Leonnig, who's reporting we've been reading from. Also joining us, former assistant special agent in charge at the FBI and national security intelligence analyst for us, Michael Feinberg. Carol Leonnig, take us through this really wider look at a pattern that's become clear.
Thanks, Nicole, for focusing on this. You know, as you know from covering this yourself in a way and tracking what's been going on at the Justice Department and the FBI, we can sometimes become a little bit numb to these serial purges. There have been story after story that we've broken here at MS Now, or that some of our colleagues and competitors have broken, about FBI agents and staff being fired by Kash Patel since he took office in February of 2025 as the director. But what we started to look into was the seemingly eerie coincidence or coordination, depending on your perspective, between moments when Kash Patel is personally in hot water and moments when these FBI agents are having their careers ended unceremoniously, often without any cause or justification given to them about why they're being fired. I would like to emphasize that there are people at the FBI, we learned in the course of this reporting, who have also noticed this trend, but we tried in our reporting to focus very specifically on those moments when Kash Patel is in big trouble and within days or hours even, he is firing a group of people who work for him and his own staff. And we found these 4 instances that had this eerie overlap. Kash Patel, through a spokesperson, told MS Now, told me and Ken that firings are based on investigations and findings of impropriety and nothing more. I just think it's important to say what they say is happening.
Let me go through them again. And I love that we can, especially with Michael here, look at this. I think of it as like a crater that they've created at the FBI. And without putting them together, it's hard to understand just how deep it is. And I guess what I want to ask you to talk about on the other side is, I mean, he's perpetually in trouble. And so I want to know from both of you where the bottom might be of that crater. But let me just go through the examples again. In mid-September, Kash Patel faced a string of media reports about a lawsuit claiming he knowingly broke the law when he fired 3 top FBI officials. I believe they countersued. So this is what happened immediately afterward. Within a week, Kash Patel ordered the firing of 10 FBI agents who were pictured 5 years earlier taking a knee to show solidarity with people protesting the police killing of George Floyd. Second example, in October, so a month later, a social media influencer revealed flight records that showed Kash Patel took the FBI jet to see his girlfriend sing the national anthem at an event at Penn State. Fired the day after the news broke, a 27-year FBI veteran named Stephen Palmer who headed the Critical Incident Response Group that oversees the FBI jet fleet. The third example, January 22nd, 2026, so about 6 weeks later, the New York Times published an article quoting former and current FBI employees describing Kash Patel as an unserious leader who had demoralized and weakened the FBI. The next day, Kash Patel ordered the firing of 6 agents who were based out of the FBI's Miami field office, as well as a handful of senior agents. I think those had some role in the Mar-a-Lago documents case. Example 4, last month, February 2026, stories about Kash Patel flying on the FBI jet to the Olympics in Milan. On February 24th, the day after a video emerged of Patel partying in the hockey team's locker room, a new account emerged from a whistleblower who said Kash Patel's use of the director's jet for a personal trip to Florida in December and his confusing orders delayed an elite FBI evidence team from reaching the scene of that mass shooting at Brown University to handle some of that evidence on December 13th. And then February 25th, the next day, Kash Patel ordered the firing of at least 10 FBI agents and support staff who'd worked on the investigation examining Trump's withholding of classified records. Carol, one, could be a coincidence. 2, could be a unlikely pattern. 3 is obviously a practice. 4 seems like an obsession. Is there anything that the FBI Agents Association or Congress can do to protect the remaining agents?
So far, no. I mean, obviously, as you know, there have been these countersuits which look like they are, at least in some measure, going to be successful because it's improper to fire someone without cause. And in the case of, for example, that lawsuit that prompted more firings, the lawsuit about the firings involving former acting director Driscoll and 2 other senior officials, they essentially said we were told we were being fired for a political reason without just cause. We were told that we were going to have to be removed to please the White House. That is the claim in the lawsuit. But your larger question, Nicole, is, what is going on here? And it is true that Kash Patel is often in the news because of insider accounts that are emerging about problematic behavior or use of the government plane for personal travel that doesn't appear to follow any protocols for how previous directors used a government taxpayer-funded jet. Going to see a men's hockey game in the main and a few security meetings in Italy, for example, has really upset a lot of people inside the FBI, embarrassed them. And as these insider accounts emerge, the result is overwhelmingly that more agents are fired, which FBI sources tell us they believe is an effort to basically change the channel, an effort by Patel, in their view, to further ingratiate himself with Donald Trump and protect his job. The problem for those sources and for many in the FBI is it is undermining the actual bureau and the critical missions that they perform. To say nothing of the war we're now in, the hot war in the Middle East.